Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. The time is 7:32 on Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. This is the regular school board meeting of the Board of Education of Warren Township High School District 121. First, we have a board member, Dr. Fields, who's joining us through the phone system, through the audio, and we're really fortunate to have her back with us tonight as she's still recovering from surgery. She was comfortable with us sharing that, but just wanted to acknowledge the reason why she's not present with us here. Dr. Fields, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear
Great.
you all. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you. That also served as a good test as well. All right. At this time, we would like to have a moment of silence for one of our students that passed away, DJ Scott. And we'd like us to, and everyone, to keep the family in your thoughts and prayers. Let's have a brief moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next up is the Pledge of Allegiance. So please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so next up is approval of the agenda. I do want to make a recommendation to move two sections around. If we swap discussion and action items, that would allow our visitors, clearly we have a lot of visitors here, to be here for the topic that's most likely most meaningful for them. So I'm not sure we need to make a motion, but if we swap those two, well, actually, I think we do because it's the agenda. So I move to swap discussion and action items in the agenda with the rest of the agenda still intact.
Second.
Okay, so first, second, is there any discussion on that change tonight with the agenda? Great.
I think you should, if you made a motion, you should do a voice vote then.
Yeah, I was just looking, so voice vote instead of roll call vote. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you for that. And I think our audience will thank you too. Although we do have a financial audit on the agenda tonight, so, you know.
Very interesting.
Absolutely.
Make him sit through that.
Well, right. Okay, so now we're going to move on to public comment. And this is before we do that, I do have the sheets here, and I've reviewed the number of people that are here, signed in, and for what topic. Everyone that signed in. Well, first off, is there anybody that didn't sign in to speak that needed to sign in to speak? Okay.
Are you raising your hand?
Somebody else signed in.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that everybody's signed in that needed to or wanted to. Is it on the same topic? Okay, so everybody's here for the same topic, so we are going to try to be a little creative here. This is an opportunity for the community members to address the board. Board policy states that public comments is no longer than 30 minutes. However, we can make allowances to go a little beyond. This might be extended, but as you can see, we also have a full agenda. If you took a look at the agenda, it's quite full tonight. It's helpful for individuals or groups with similar statements to coordinate efforts to ensure important points are made. It also helps to hear representative comments regarding multiple topics, although I don't see any other topics here other than the freshman seminar to speak on, so that won't be an issue. I must remind all guests to speak clearly into the microphone, state your name, relationship to the district, and by board directive, you are allowed up to 3 minutes. So at this point, I think we'll just go in order, I believe, and have you come up to the podium, and then at the 30-minute mark, we'll reassess. What we might do, just to keep the business of the district going, is move on and then create a secondary public comment after either action or discussion, whichever is the second one, particularly if we're hitting upon a lot of the same topics. So we did receive quite a few emails. We're in receipt of those. We read them. If you're one of those people that are speaking and saying the same points as your email, rest assured we have reviewed those. Okay, the first person is Christina Wyman. If she would come up to the podium. And actually, Beth, can I have you just say the names as in order? Thanks. Maybe put a little check as people have done it. Thanks.
Right. Okay, perfect.
Go
Good
ahead.
evening. My name is Krista Wyman, and I'm speaking tonight as a parent of future Warren students, a teacher in this community, and someone who proudly campaigned for the 2022 referendum that promised to preserve the 8-period day. I've had the privilege of teaching many of your children, some of the brightest and most driven students I've ever worked with. I fought for that referendum so your kids could have equal access to enrichment, AP courses, sports, fine arts, and electives. I'm here tonight because that same promise is now being broken to mine. The proposed year-long required freshman advisory course effectively turns an 8-period schedule into 7. The superintendent's own memo acknowledges this, quote, "Most students will be required to postpone one of these areas of study, science, social studies, or an elective until their sophomore year." And let's be clear about what this actually means. Freshmen cannot take 2 electives unless they push a core course like science or social studies into future years. The argument that's being made that those freshmen will still have 2 elective options, but that's only true if they will defer a core subject, double up later, or pay for summer school. That doesn't make sense for our high-achieving students who are trying to stay competitive for college. And it certainly doesn't align with what the community voted for 2022, to preserve access and opportunity for all students, not just those who could afford extra coursework outside of the school day. This isn't equitable. It creates a pay-to-participate model that punishes families who cannot afford to buy back the time they were promised. For my family, this means my 7th grade son, who dreamed of being an engineer since he was little, will have to choose between Project Lead the Way and band just to meet graduation and world language requirements. And my 8th grade daughter, who loves band and takes great pride in being bilingual, will be forced to choose between the program that brings her joy and continuing her progress towards the seal of biliteracy, something she's worked towards since kindergarten. The 4-year plans the district released shows that even students on the college-bound or elite university tracks must give up electives or pay for summer classes to remain competitive. This proposal directly contradicts the district's strategic plan, which pledges equity, academic excellence, and financial stewardship. How is it equitable to tell one generation of students that they can explore their passions and then tell the next they must choose? I fully support teaching executive function and social emotional skills, but a full-year, full-period course is unnecessary and redundant. Many of these lessons are already happening through counselor programming, teacher mentorship, band, and activity programs that naturally build responsibility and community. If we truly want to strengthen SEL, let's find another way to do it without removing electives. I'm not asking for more. I'm asking you to keep your promise that we made to this community in 2022. Protect the 8-period day, protect 2 electives, protect the opportunities that make Warren great. Our students deserve the same access as your children had, the same chance to explore, to grow, to prepare for their futures. Please honor the commitment we fought so hard to build together. Thank you.
So just as a reminder for those of you, sorry, I know it's a little hard to hear me, but as a reminder for those of you who are in the audience, we don't engage in a dialogue at this time. Public comment is mainly one directional unless you're looking for a response, and then we would follow up with that response afterward. I would also ask, just that we can maintain order during the meeting, if you can refrain from any clapping or excessive kind of, I want to keep this as cordial or civil and respectful as possible. It's entirely possible that there may be someone here who has a different opinion, and I just want to respect that. There is a variety of different opinions out there, and everybody deserves their moment for the 3 minutes. So hopefully you understand the reason why, and thank you for attention to that. I'm going to ask Vice President Pope to go through the list, so that way I'm keeping time here with the 3 minutes. Go ahead and.
Yeah, you just didn't want to pronounce the names. I
No,
got the
no.
dirty job.
Well,
I can already feel it.
I mean,
here we go. And if I mispronounce your name, I
Yeah,
apologize.
we apologize.
We apologize.
Yeah, we
Okay,
apologize.
yeah. Rachna Gliada. How'd I do? Well, there we go. See?
thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll start the timer when you're ready. Go
Good
ahead.
evening. My name is Rachna Gliada, and I'm the parent of a junior at Warren and an 8th grader at Woodland Middle. I'm here tonight to urge you to vote against the proposed mandatory freshman advisory class, which would have a serious negative impact on students, teachers, and programs. Even more concerning, most parents don't even know about this proposal. Adding this class as a fail-safe way to increase your freshman on-track rate is frankly appalling, when 85% of the freshmen are already on track. You'll be forcing nearly 800 students to sacrifice their elective choices, learning paths, and summers just to make you and the school district look better. If the goal was truly to help students successfully transition to high school, then there are clearly better, more effective ways to accomplish these goals without eliminating student choice. After speaking with teachers and counselors from other high schools, one message was consistent. Advisory can be helpful only if it's brief and occasional, not a daily full-period 46-minute class. My feedback on your proposals outlined purposes and outcomes. 1, learn how high school works. Every teacher does this the first week of school and beyond, and it could be reinforced during study halls that week. 2, find out about activities, clubs, sports, and events. There's already a major event held before school starts for exactly that purpose. It could also be repeated if need be at the first school assembly. 3, understand graduation requirements, and 4, prepare for 10th grade course selection. These are already addressed during registration. Students plan these with their parents using existing materials, and they meet individually with their guidance counselor. 5, learn from 11th and 12th grade student mentors. With a split campus, this would be difficult to organize on any regular basis. 6, have extra time for assignments. Freshmen already have a mandatory study hall, half period, and those who need extra time can sign up for the full period study hall. 7, develop planning and study habits. Additional supports for students who need it already exists during that half period study hall. 8, explore and learn about career interests. 9, build confidence and sense of self. 10, build social skills and develop friendships. All of these are best achieved through clubs and electives where students can pursue their genuine interests, form friendships, gain confidence, and find belonging. The referendum was passed with the clear promise to preserve the 8-period day, ensuring access to a wide range of electives, many of which are sequential and AP courses. 11, strengthen skills to be respectful, resilient, and engaged. These lessons are already consistently taught in the middle schools, and any freshmen who need more help should receive targeted support. The stated goals are already being met through existing programs and in no way warrant the more than 130 additional hours of instruction being proposed. Making advisory a daily full-period class would only reduce electives, restrict academic rigor, limit exploration, and hurt student engagement. If the goal is to support students effectively, please vote no on this proposal. Then gather real feedback from parents, teachers, and students, and look at all the schools that have shown advisory works best when it's short, occasional, flexible, and optional, not mandatory.
We're at the
Thank you.
3-minute mark. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for keeping in mind the words I said before. I do appreciate that, and we value everyone's perspective. So, next person.
Britta Akron.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Britta Akron, and as a former Woodland Middle School teacher and Warren Township High School counselor, and now a school counselor at Loyola Academy, I bring both personal and professional insight to the proposed advisory conversation. My 2 oldest children graduated from WTHS into universities and programs with less than an 8% acceptance rate, and their academic success is a testament to the strong foundation this district can provide when instructional time is protected. I think that I may be the only person in this room who teaches a full high school SEL program. At Loyola, I teach a course similar to what's being proposed now, but our model is lean. I meet with each of my formation groups, which are composed of approximately 15 students, just like you're proposing, once every 6 school days. It's embedded in the lunch program. We still meet our goals in social emotional learning, academic mentorship, and personal growth without sacrificing core instructional time. Each of our students has the opportunity to take 7 academic courses in each school year, and we do this for free. A daily 45-minute advisory is excessive. It takes nearly 38% of a student's day when combined with PE and lunch. That's significant, especially for both high-achieving students and those in need of academic support. High achievers, particularly those in music, Project Lead the Way, or students interested in pursuing fine arts and additional world language or business courses will be blocked. AP coursework like AP World and AP Gov will not be available to music and PTL students, as summer school is the proposed solution for these graduation-required subject areas. Lower achieving students will lose access to critical structured support like guided study halls, and if you want to see a good program, go to Deerfield High School. They do it well. Additionally, it is stated in tonight's agenda documents that places like Princeton accept students with as little as 2 years of science or social studies work, and that is laughable. They state this on their websites because this is the requirement, not the recommendation, and reserved for students who are not fully in school due to pursuing research opportunities at universities, building sustainable water systems for third world countries that they created, or in the case of my son, started an international company. I have sent students to the University of Pennsylvania, Dartmouth, University of Chicago, Notre Dame, service academies, and numerous T50 programs. Our office speaks directly to the admissions offices and AOs in these sought-after institutions, and they say a full complement of AP programming with 4+ years in all subject areas is the expectation. There's also a fundamental problem. There is no fully developed curriculum for a daily, full-period advisory class across 172 school days. The risk here is clear. Without well-planned, engaging content, both students and staff will disengage. I meet with my students 24 times a year and still meet the goals outlined by Dr. W's memo, efficiently and effectively. And when discussing the daily model with my colleagues, they were aghast, and we are counselors who believe in the value of SEL. High school teachers choose teaching because of the love of their subject area and the love of their students, but not all are motivated to do SEL work. And enforcing this upon faculty who have zero interest, it will fall flat, even with the best of intentions. Instead, I propose the highly flexible, high alternative, integrate either into the PE classroom, or because you only need 5 periods of PE within a week, according to the ISBE, or you can also go with the lunch period, the 50% of the lunch periods. This goal is not to eliminate advisory, but to make it work smarter.
And we're at 3 minutes.
When our committee fought to pass this, they fought for the 7.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, next person.
Tina Saunders.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, esteemed members of the Board of Education. My name is Tina Saunders. I'm the parent of a 2023 graduate and a current junior. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak regarding my concerns with the freshman advisory course. I've reviewed the objectives of this class, and while I do support the intent, the structure of implementation will have significant consequences for students pursuing college and for those seeking a well-rounded high school experience. Making this course a mandatory full period effectively eliminates the 8-period day. I've reviewed the sample 4-year plans provided by Dr. Weisman. At the top of each are sample university requirements. These are misleading. They reflect minimum admission requirements, not the standards that actually lead to acceptance. An example given was University of Illinois. University of Illinois recommends 4 full years of all core subjects, science, social science, math, world language, and English, along with additional academic units that can be met through electives, not just the 2 years that were suggested. The idea of postponing science or social studies to later years disproportionately impacts college-bound students. Universities expect applicants to exceed minimum requirements and show sustained rigor and diverse coursework across all 4 years. Admission counselors on college visits repeatedly stress that while minimums are posted online, admitted students consistently exceed them. Warren should be expanding opportunities for students to remain competitive, not limiting their opportunities in their freshman year. The sample plans limit students' ability to take AP coursework and maintain 4 years in core subjects while also maintaining involvement in programs such as band, choir, Project Lead the Way, the arts, or any combination of these programs. While doubling up on social science junior or senior year has been suggested, doing so comes at the expense of electives, making it impossible to stay in these co-curricular programs for all 4 years. Yet it is in these very programs that students often find a sense of belonging and community within their school. Another suggestion involves taking health, economics, and government in summer school. This is not equitable. Those courses cost hundreds of dollars and take time from jobs, internships, and family. Additionally, this option doesn't allow students to take AP government. Every college credit earned in high school saves students and families thousands of dollars. This proposed freshman advisory course should be reimagined so that it supports students without limiting their future opportunities. I ask you to pause on approving this course in its current state this evening to allow for more planning with the concerns of the community in mind.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, next person.
Is it Lee Grazer? Geyser, sorry, I couldn't read it. Thank you.
And just so everybody knows, we began at 7:38, so I'm looking at the clock up there, 8:08, and then we'll continue after action or discussion. But go ahead.
All right, thank you. My name is Lee Geyser. I'm here with my wife, Elizabeth. We have 3 daughters, Mia, a senior who is in band, Milena is a freshman now in band, and we have a 10-year-old who will be coming to Warren in a couple of years, and she's also in band. So I'm just asking tonight that the district slow down and pause this decision to add a required advisory class for incoming freshmen. While the intent may be positive, there's significant confusion among families and students, especially those in programs like band, and how this change will affect schedules and course availability selections. It's a bit concerning that music families only recently on October 16th, which would be 5 days ago, received an email from the superintendent about this proposal, and that communication came only after members of the band booster organization reached out to parents to share their own concerns. The sequence shows how much confusion and lack of clarity still exists around this whole plan. When a change has this much uncertainty and potential impact, it deserves more transparency, communication, community input before we hurry up and move forward. I urge the board to slow down this process, clearly outline how the advisory will fit into students' schedules, and give families a real opportunity to understand and respond before any decision is finalized. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next person?
Elaine Lina?
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Elaine Lina. I'm a mom of 4 graduated Warren students. I'm also an alumni that graduated. I don't love speaking. I apologize, and I'll be quick. I just want you guys to, I'm asking you to consider not approving this. I wanted to speak, I know I saw a pathway for the band program. I wanted to speak on the choir program specifically. I'm sorry, I do not like speaking.
Fine.
I know.
You're fine. We all know you.
Yeah. I moved here with my kids when my oldest was in 8th grade for the opportunities that Warren gives. I was a choir member when I was in high school because my parents couldn't afford band. And what I worry about is it's going to affect the kids being able to do band and or choir, especially if they are band members, they're not going to probably be able to be in choir as well. That choir program will be decimated and probably go away. And so those kids that can't afford band, choir was my outlet because music is so important. So I just want you to consider what that can do to the seen kids. I see the advisory program as being something good. Of my 4 kids, one of my kids would have really benefited from it. My other 3 could have probably taught the class in their freshman year. So I just want you to consider that it's not for the betterment of all the Warren students. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next person. And just to be clear, you have your full 3 minutes. I don't mean to.
I'm not sure she wanted it.
And despite some of the decisions that have to be made where some people are in favor, some people are, we are all friends and neighbors and community members. So just keep that in mind as you come up here. Please don't feel anxious, if possible.
Sarah Gardner. Am I saying it right? Sarah Gardner? Oh, there she is.
All right, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sarah Garner. I'm currently a freshman and senior parent. So this obviously will not affect my students, but when I first heard about it, I talked to my daughters. My oldest said, well, I would definitely have had to drop choir. So just like our last speaker, same thing, she would not have stayed in choir. She would not have dropped history. There's no reason that anybody who is going towards college should put off history. My senior right now is currently taking her 4th, 5th, and 6th science class because that is her passion. If she had had to include this advisory, she never would have been able to take that path. And when she goes to college next year, she will be majoring in science studies. I know that I looked at your video before I came here, Dr. W, and 20% of your kids are not on track. I understand that's a large number considering you have roughly 1,000 kids, so we're looking at about 200. But what you're not taking into consideration is the 800 who would not really benefit from a course that is mandatory. The 20%, you could very easily target those students. I teach SEL, for the record. I'm 23rd year of educating, so I've been a teacher for 23 years. I remember you.
I know. I remember you too. See, we're among friends.
We are.
I know.
So I do teach SEL every single day. So I am in that program, but we do 10 minutes. So 10 minutes, I have my 7th graders. So it's not high school, but we go through a lot of the same things that you have on your agenda that you want to hit. I'm able to get through all of those every day for 10 minutes a day. So that's 50 minutes a week. And we are able to get through the program. So I really think that you need to, at this age, target those students who are not on track, those students that you are concerned about, instead of more, punishing basically the kids who are high achieving, as well as the parents who would then have to pay for more summer school on top of the summer school we already do pay for. So that's it. Thank you.
The next person, please.
Victoria Chipetta.
Hello, good evening. My name is Victoria Chipetta. I'm the parent of a current Warren freshman, as well as a soon-to-be freshman in a couple of years. I'm asking tonight that the board propose the vote on adopting the freshman year advisory as a mandatory year-long course until more consideration can be given. My current freshman is taking all honors and an AP class of foreign language. She participates not only in FBLA, but the FBLA activity period, and is a varsity athlete. Outside of school, she's on a club team, volunteers in the community, and this summer, hopefully a first job. She is not an exception. Many of her peers are just as involved, balancing rigorous coursework, athletics, music, community service. And back when she was at Woodland, she did make the difficult decision to give up clarinet so she could fit all the classes she needed to stay competitive to college when she entered Warren. Like many families, we value Warren's 8-day period because it allows students to pursue both academic rigor and the electives that keep them engaged and excited about learning. Now, with this proposed mandatory class, I'm deeply concerned for my younger daughter who's following a similar path. For her to take 4 years of science or social studies, which colleges strongly recommend, she would need to attend summer school or double up later, giving up electives or extracurricular activities just to stay on track. That is not flexibility, that's a burden. While I understand that some students would benefit from an advisory class to help them transition into high school, for others it would be redundant and even punitive. Many students have already developed the organizational and interpersonal skills that this class is meant to teach. For them, it simply takes away a valuable chance to pursue something meaningful, a language, an elective, or a passion that could help shape their future. Many families I've spoken with share these concerns. Some may not yet realize how a decision like this would affect their younger children, but the long-term impact is significant. This proposal creates an imbalance between students who need the class and those that don't, and it ultimately limits opportunities for some of our most motivated learners. I know this idea comes from a place of wanting to help students succeed, but I believe there are better, more flexible ways to accomplish that goal, ways that don't come at the expense of academic rigor and student choice. The provided list of known and unknown impacts, combined with the list of shared concerns, is longer than the list of purpose and outcome at this point. So tonight, I respectfully urge you to pause this decision, gather more feedback from students and families, and find a solution that supports all learners, those that need the extra guidance and those who are already thriving. Board, thank you so much for your continued efforts, your time, and listening to all the families that deeply care about Warren's future.
Thank you. Next person?
Okay, this one got me. I apologize. It starts with an H-E is the first name, and Enquist, I believe, is the last name. All right. There he is. Thank you.
Go ahead when ready.
Hello, I'm Henrik Engquist, and I want to address the board this evening not only as a WTHS alumni, but as a parent of incoming freshman next year and another student a few years away in District 56 as well. You speak against the proposed advisory structure. I mean, 'cause it appears that it's just going to be a one period every day that they're losing learning, and it appears to be at the expense of electives and important courses like science and social studies, which, as other people have said, that we need full 4 years to be competitive to get into college. And losing them or taking them over the summer is just it's unacceptable. And we're already falling behind as a country with science and social studies and government. I mean, people don't understand those things nowadays, and taking those things away is not going to help that situation either. My son at Viking, he's an 8th grader now. He's in his 3rd year of a advisory class. I ask him what goes on in there. I still don't understand it. I mean, I understand it's social, educational learning, and of course, it is those goals are important. But it appears that talking to him, it just ends up being just kind of free time or homeroom or study hall, and kids at Warren already have study hall, so do they really need an additional period of that every day for 170, 180, however many days there are in a school year? We can, what I urge the board to do is, again, delay this and find another way to achieve these goals, but do not take away from the educational time that our kids need. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next person.
Trisha Biedron?
Yeah, I was going to say there could be multiple Trishas.
Yeah, well, give me a minute here. Whoa, Bernstein, sorry.
That's me.
All right, go ahead and start
I
when you're
just
ready.
saw it, sorry.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Trisha Bernstein, and I have a sophomore at Warren who is currently in band, and I have an 8th grader at Woodland who will not be in band. I want to start by saying that I fully support the intent behind the proposed freshman advisory class. Supporting our students' mental health, social development, and emotional well-being, especially as they transition into high school, is something we all care deeply about. Freshman year can be very overwhelming, and having extra support can truly make a difference in a student's confidence and success. But the way that this proposal is currently structured, as a full period, year-long required class that meets 5 days a week, is not the best option for the majority of students at Warren. Here's why. By turning advisory into a daily full-period course, we're asking students to give up space in their schedule that can be otherwise used for core academic class or a valuable elective. This means fewer opportunities to take math, science, or advanced classes that help prepare them for college and careers. That means less flexibility to explore electives that inspire creativity and passion, like art, music, business, or technology. One of Warren's strong points is offering so many opportunities that I didn't have when I was growing up. for students to try out different interests, which puts them ahead for college, an impact felt by all students, even freshmen. The core classes, including science and social studies, are building blocks for so many future opportunities: engineering, teaching, social work, and law enforcement, to name a few. Reducing instructional time in these areas could have long-term consequences for students' learning and achievement and hinder students' opportunities for college. Many of the elective classes are only taught at certain times in campuses, so any delay in starting an educational track for these electives will impact their educations, and students may miss out on the wonderful opportunities that Warren offers. And let's be honest, our students have to take classes mandated by the state that they may not be a fan of. Taking away choice and flexibility of electives that they love and excel in will only add stress, not reduce it. We should nurture students' creativity and eagerness to learn by allowing them as many opportunities as possible. This doesn't have to be an either-or choice between emotional support and academic growth. Our students deserve both, and I believe that working together we can find a solution that everyone is proud of and that will benefit more students. So I urge the district to press pause on the current proposal and to work with teachers, staff, and families to find more balanced solution that truly supports students as a whole, as individuals. Thank you for your time and your commitment for doing what's best for all of our students.
Thank you. And I think we can fit one more in because it's not 8:08 yet, so I want to honor the 30-minute mark.
Donna, just kidding. Dana Odo.
And just to be clear, we're not cutting on anyone else off. We'll just move you after discussion. Go ahead. Begin when you're ready.
Okay. I'm Dana Odo, mom of a junior at Warren and an 8th grader at Woodland who will be in the first class affected by this year-long freshman advisory. My husband Rocco is a ceramics teacher and fine arts lead here who is retiring in May. I've been in education since 2000, teaching English here at Warren, counseling at Grant, and now as career exploration and internship coordinator at Grays Lake Central. I fully support study skills, career exploration, and SEL, but I cannot support this proposal as written as a full year requirement for all freshmen. First off, what are the unknown costs? A significant amount of money has already been spent on a canned curriculum and travel for administrators and teachers to go observe schools across the country. How much more will be spent on this? What about the cost of training and curriculum writing? Teachers will need to be paid for both, or the district will need to pay for substitutes to cover their classes when they're doing it. We also need to consider mileage costs and covering duties when PE teachers, for example, lose FTE at Almond and are required to teach advisory at Eau Plaine when Tech Campus students get their PE waived. There are some things that we do know. We do know that no matter how you make a sample schedule, students are losing choice. We know that giving teenagers choice has positive SEL effects by boosting their motivation and engagement. We do know that elective courses can be critical career exploration opportunities as well. What better way to learn about being an architect than taking architecture classes? We also know that this class could replace a student's ability to take an AP or dual credit class, costing not just money, but also taking away that rigor that all colleges want to see. Finally, we know that the staff is on board with offering some sort of advisory. In Dr. Danny's email response to me back yesterday, he wrote, quote, "As it seems most staff feel this type of experience is good for students, just not in a year-long full period format. If you've acknowledged that the staff agrees this is beneficial in a different format, and it's obvious that many parents believe the same, then why are we trying to push this full year required option through? We can add study skills, career exposure, SEL without sacrificing a class period. We can negotiate a 20-minute homeroom or just adjust the Wednesday late start schedule for all students to serve as a school-wide tier 1 approach across all grades. I stood on the corner and canvassed with many of you for the referendum a few years ago when we voted for more opportunities for our students. This advisory course would limit those very options we worked so hard for. Please vote no today or table this so we can do a thorough assessment of ripple effects and gather more input from students, parents, and staff. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. At this point, we hit a little bit beyond the 8:08 mark. So what we'll do is we'll pick this back up after discussion items. We do appreciate everybody's input, feedback. So if you have and we are going to prioritize the action items so that way we can get you a little bit of what you need ahead of time. But please feel free to stay, and we'll make sure that you get your comments in. So let's move on to committee reports. We had 2 committees that took place. One of them was the newly minted Shared Services Committee, and I think Beth, you and Natalia were our reps that went there. This is an opportunity if there was anything you wanted to say about it, how did it go, or we can also discuss at a different time as well.
I would say that it was a great opportunity to meet with our feeder schools and start collaborating on action items and items that we can all benefit from, whether it's personnel, it's busing, it's down to like our devices. It was really just a meeting to get together, to start brainstorming, and then we'll meet again and kind of push from there. And am I missing anything?
I agree. It was, I think it's a long time coming. I thank Dr. Daney for, championing this. And I know this was also Tony's baby from a long time ago, and I really appreciate the thought it went into really imagining what we can do as a multi-district team. And we talked about different buckets, I think is the word we kept using,
Yeah,
but
buckets.
different types of things we would want to marry together to either save costs or improve being able to hire difficult positions, streamline services, cut some costs, combine bid efforts for different types of services, and save the districts and taxpayers a lot of money. So it was really exciting. I think everyone was excited to imagine where we were going with that. So it's a first of many, but I don't know, Dr. Daney, did you want to add anything, or you good? Yeah.
It was exciting.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Is there any board members that have questions for our 2 reps here? If not, I thank you for attending. Did you have something, Susan?
No, I just am glad you thought it was exciting. Clearly, you're the
She's
right person
excited,
to be
we're
there.
excited, I can tell.
You know what, when elected officials talk and we can share ideas, we are stronger together.
Absolutely.
And there are things and that has to be initiated by us. No one is going to tell us to do that. We have to initiate it. So I think that's something to keep in mind as you continue to go to these meetings, as stuff happens because we advocate for that stuff. So, we all pay taxes into these various, and we can talk and we can do things in line, and we can save each other money and attract great people here, and all the things that you've brought up as ideas. I'm pretty psyched about it. And I'm super happy to hear that the mood was positive.
Oh, I think
because I
everyone was
wasn't
excited.
sure if that
It was great.
It was really great.
It was really
nice.
good.
Were you going to say something else?
I was just going to say also, the I'll say epidemic of special ed services and trying to figure out, how to manage things in a very difficult staffed world. And so that was also one of the motifs that we talked about, was how do we combine efforts to help each other out. So
Nice.
yeah, it was nice.
Oh, that's great. All right, thank you. And then we had a curriculum committee. I know, Susan, you attended. Is there, don't mean to put you on the spot because this is an administratively driven committee, but is there anything you'd like to point out or reflect upon?
No, primarily we talked about freshman advisory, which
Okay.
I think we're going to get to.
Sure. All right, thank you for that. Our next section is superintendent's reports. There was nothing in here. These are all optional asks if we needed, so I'll just go through. We had a 10-year facility projects update, which I know we were just thrilled to even have a long-term outlook on our facilities and larger projects. So that's great to have. It's great that there's attention being paid to it, and I know Chris Green is here if we have any questions. So are there any board members that have any questions for Chris?
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you. I know there was a lot of work and a lot of putting heads together, so, and long overdue.
You're focusing us is what you're doing. It's good. All right. And then Chris, you didn't have anything to add, just what we had which was a lot. It was a lot of good information. Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. We had a treasurer's report and business services calendar. We're used to these reports. The calendar is what Chris follows. I'm not speak up if you have any comments, but I assume that there isn't for that one. We had a notice of intent to petition for annexation into the Village of Gurnee for the Almond Road property. So there were some documents that were attached and that we need to complete for this, doing it in conjunction with the Warren Township complex as well. Are there any board members that would like to discuss any part of this, the documents, the concept? Otherwise, we're moving forward administratively. Okay, we had some enrollment reports. Looks like our population continues to lessen. It feels like every time I look at it, but I know that's also a broader state and country kind of trend as well. We had a FOIA report, so Freedom of Information Act, and then we had information from Dr. Weisman in the monthly superintendent reports, which he does not have any comments unless we had any questions for him.
I actually want to say that on that Institute Day, I want to thank Sandy Moran and Dr. Danny on their Institute Day honoring Hispanic heritage. So I think it was a great way to wrap it up, and I think it was, from what my understanding from a couple people that attended, it was really, really great. And you guys had some dancing performances,
Yes, yeah, there were some dancing
and
performances, yeah.
a really great speaker.
We have video, that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm sure Sandy has video.
Yeah, she sent me some stuff. So I want to thank you guys for doing that.
All the credit to Dr. Moran on that one, probably.
Thank you for those comments. I think a lot of work like that goes into our Teacher Institute Days and other planning, and we don't see it. We're elected officials. We don't work for Warren, but it's nice when we get to see those kind of things, and it's a acknowledgement of the hard work that goes on behind the scenes in service to our faculty and staff. So thank you for those comments. So we're going to move on to consent agenda. If there's any changes or items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda, now is your time, and if not, because it's lengthy, I will just make the motion. Is there anyone that needs to or would like to pull anything? Okay. So, therefore, I move to approve the consent agenda items, which include license agreement for the Now Arena commencement ceremony facility, bills dated October 21st, 2025 in the amount of $6,396,221.13. Fiscal year 26 maintenance grant application. Field trip for the varsity baseball team to Marion, Illinois in March of 2026. Field trip for the varsity boys lacrosse team to Tampa, Florida, March 2026. Approval of the executive session meeting minutes and regular session meeting minutes of the September 23rd, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Acknowledgement and acceptance of gifts to the district. And finally, personnel recommendations, Exhibit A. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fields?
Yes.
Squires?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Pope?
Yes.
DeMonte?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to action items. And we'll move on to A, which is approval of curriculum guide changes and new course proposals. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion?
No. Do we need a motion right away? Are we gonna discuss this or make a motion first?
Someone has to make a motion for us to discuss it, is my understanding. First, second, and then discussion.
So you can,
Unless Dr. Weitzman has it.
you can make an initial motion, and then if you decide to discuss and amend the motion, then somebody can amend the motion after the initial motion, which is probably what you're wondering about.
Yes, I was wondering about that. Thank you.
I move to approve the 26-27 curriculum guide changes and new course proposals as presented.
Second.
You get us to get us discussing. All right, now we can open it up to discussion.
Yeah, so I am guessing that most of the questions and conversation are around freshman advisory, so I'm just going to jump right into that. And then, is that a fair assumption? There are other courses on the course guide for new courses for approval. Some courses were taken off that haven't run in a while. And if you have questions for Dr. Geocaris, we could get those done with and then move on to the more exciting part. Sound good?
Go for it.
Okay, all right. So I think actually the school board's been talking about freshman advisory for a long time. So most of what I'm actually going to do is just do a recap of where we've been over the last year and a half or 2 years to try to get everybody in the room on the same page. I'm going to reference board meetings from the past. And so something that you could do also after today is go back and just watch those board meetings that are all on YouTube. So I do want to just touch on the referendum. So there were always 4 stated investments. The referendum was slated to address preserving the 8-period school day, improve academic support and mental health services, restore and protect activities and clubs, and restore and protect athletics. Sometimes the district also talked about and did follow through on reduction of fees in there as well. So I don't know if everybody knows, but it feels like some of the emails at least from people, not everybody recognizes how involved some of the board members were in the referendum. So I just want to make sure that I inform everybody that there are board members up here that are very familiar with the referendum and put a lot of time and energy into that. Let's see, so we've been talking for some years about 9th grade advisory, and as one of many strategies to improve a few things. One of them that we've talked about is our freshman on-track rate. Freshmen in Illinois are considered on track if they do 2 things that first year of high school. They earn at least 5 full years of course credits and receive an F in no more than 1 semester of a core course. So when the state first started measuring this back in 2018, we were in the 90s, and then since then we've been in the 80s, sometimes even as low as 81%. It does look like when the state report card comes out that we're going to be back above the 90s, which we're really excited about. This has been something that the school board has looked at and been trying to allocate resources to helping this in the future. Something else the school board has been looking at pretty regularly are our student perception surveys. So students fill out reflective surveys twice a year. I think there's like 12 different subjects that they answer questions about. And 3 that the school board has focused on are some of our lower scores. So here at Warren, our students typically score pretty low in terms of self-efficacy, sense of belonging, and engagement. So self-efficacy, the way that the survey asks these types of questions, is confidence that students have in their ability to complete work and be successful. Sense of belonging is how connected they feel with their peers and adults at the school, how well they feel like they fit in, and engagement is how excited students are to participate in class. So it's not just freshman on-track rate that the school board's been talking about for a couple years. It's also saying, hey, less than half of our students feel confident that they can be successful in high school. Less than half of our students feel like they are connecting and have a sense of belonging here at the high school. And less than half of them, a pretty low number of them, feel excited about participating in their classes here. So something that we've been trying to do to address these is specifically focusing on our 9th grade. And nope, not right now, I'm sorry.
Not right now. It's no, I'm sorry, sir. We can't do that. Right now, we're in the middle of a board meeting. You're welcome to wait till that second public comment meeting. But what I'd like to do is for everybody here, excuse me, sir. There's a lot of people here who have, I think, some very valid points that they would like to make. And we do appreciate feedback. It's just about having it in the right format and process. So what I'm going to just remind everyone is that we are conducting a board meeting. Dr. Weisman's presenting. We have a second public comment. You're welcome to email us as well. I'd like to continue on with the meeting, but I do ask that everyone be respectful and as we continue on with our meeting. Thank you.
So generally, it does seem like there is general support around the idea of 8 to 9 transition internally as well as external stakeholders. There is research behind transition programming. Transition programming typically probably has an infinite number of ways that you can design that. Some examples of where we've tried to recently increase the support that we give to transition programming is by bringing in 8th grade students here to visit and have experiences in the high school. The Link crew is something that we're really proud of and super grateful for the team at O'Plain to be initiating and following through with. These are just examples of different types of transition programming. Generally, we're looking in our transition programming to acclimate students in the way that we think students need to be prepared to enter the world. We call that our Warren Way. And we're hoping that students can learn to be respectful, resilient, and engaged. Let's see, so I wanna, there have been a lot of, I would just say, accusations that the school board is rushing decisions. So I just wanna go through timelines. So the people here who are the most engaged understand the timeline that they're working with. Almost 2 years ago, we did share with the school board and curriculum committee, which is a board subcommittee, Susan just talked about that, that we were going to investigate advisory and considered moving into that area here for our school district. The school district has been talking about advisory for over a decade. Last year in November, we had a report from a staff group that went to Chattanooga to visit a high school. And after that staff group visited that Chattanooga high school, they recommended that we move forward with a credit-based mandatory advisory. And they recommended that we understand that we would have to change course sequence. You can go just watch that board meeting from November. So if you look up the November 2024 meeting, you could hear exactly what their recommendations were. Primarily the reason I'm sharing this is because it seems like the way that the comments are directed to the school board is that the school board or myself has developed on our own this concept, maybe in the corner office. And just go watch that November board meeting and you'll see strong recommendations from staff. So when you talk about the importance to involve staff, I just encourage you to go read the slides that staff group shared. In January, I did recommend that we propose a new advisory class for October. That's where we're at right now. In March, the board reviewed those plans for this year. It included an advisory description in it. We had another staff team that went to the Bronx to visit a high school. They talked about the advisory model. And then we've had a graduation committee that our union put together. And this is another board meeting that you can just go watch. And that graduation committee made a recommendation that the board consider a credit-based mandatory advisory elective. And then in April, the board looked at their plans again for this. In May, a third visit group of staff that had gone to San Diego looked at their advisory program, returned, talked to the school board and said, we recommend that you consider this type of course. And then in September, the board talked about the priorities for their course or for this course. So as much as you might be frustrated with the idea, there were staff here that as colleagues went to go visit other high schools and came back to the school board and said, we think the school board should consider this. We recommend that it be a credit-bearing course, and that might mean that you have to change your sequence. So that's what the board's looking at right now, is a proposal to execute on what staff members felt like was a good idea. I think it's a good idea, but I just want to acknowledge that other staff members have been involved with this process. Let's see. We also have a regular curriculum design process and proposal. So on the board agenda tonight are 4 courses. Every year around this time, the board's looking at new course proposals, and the proposal that's in front of the school board right now followed the same steps that all of the other courses follow. So that's what this slide is showing here. In December, about a year ago, I met with lead teachers and explained to them just kind of what the large scope was for the freshman advisory proposal. Anybody that's proposing a new course can do that through their lead teacher, and then they send to Dr. Geocaris a request for that course to be considered. All of those course proposals were shared out with staff in May, and so this course was part of that process. In August, staff were given again the proposed new courses. The 9th grade advisory was part of that process when we shared that with them. I did meet with our lead teachers. Lead teachers for us are kind of like department chairs. Each department has a lead teacher. I met with those lead teachers to review the course proposal in September, and in October, this month I've been holding staff meetings to review the course proposal. So I know this feels like it's rushed to you. I'm just giving you the timeline that we use for all of our course proposals and the timeline for board discussions. If you have any questions about those board meetings, you can definitely go back and watch those. I know some of you have been taking pictures, so if you didn't get that, you can contact me and I can give those to you, or you can just ask one of your peers that took a picture of that. So a handful of people have explained to me in emails that they feel like the music or the fine arts courses provide what a freshman advisory course might do. So I just, in preparing for this, pulled 2 random class-specific results from these student perception surveys that we completed here in the fall. And for these 2 courses, you'll see that in these 2 different periods from, I didn't want to put like what specific periods they were or what the teachers were, but in one of the classes, the self-efficacy was, you can see both ends here. In one of the classes, self-efficacy for students in that class was reported significantly lower than our school average, and one it was higher. For sense of belonging, they were both slightly higher. And then with student engagement, one was below and one was significantly higher. The problem in terms of student engagement, self-efficacy, and sense of belonging isn't one that I think the school board thinks applies only to students that aren't super involved. I think the school board is also just trying to recognize that even the students that are academically high achieving or are very involved or have been connected to a very passionate program for many years still struggle in the areas of self-efficacy, sense of belonging, and engagement. So we have discussed at some length different formats that we could do some type of advisory. So if we're just looking at a course that all 9th grade students take during their first year of high school, I think there's probably more options, but I kind of put this into 4 buckets. People have talked about both externally with stakeholders and on the board, and internally we've talked about an advisory taking the place of 9th grade study hall, which is that half period before or after lunch that 9th graders have. We've talked about it as a full period first semester class or 1 semester class, a full period 2 semester class, which is what the proposal is that the school board has right now. And we've talked about it as an alternate schedule. So I'm just going to try to address, because some people are wondering why we haven't talked about these, but we have talked about them. So one option we've spent a lot of time talking through is what would it look like if we took the 9th grade study hall half period and turned it into an advisory. So all of these are possible scenarios. I'm just going to list the considerations that make us think twice about all of them, because there's not necessarily like an easy win here. In all of these scenarios, we have to pull something if we want to provide an advisory experience. The way that staff that visited the schools came back and told us we should consider implementing. So if we are taking the place of our 9th grade study hall, There are a lot of high schools that do a model like this. It would force us to abbreviate the curriculum that we're hoping to provide, but definitely possible. The biggest concern here probably is that we have our major content-specific academic tier 2 interventions are happening during English, math, social studies, and science. So students that need support for those things are pulled out of that study hall to get it. Those are probably the main considerations there. Option 2, the full period first semester class. Again, it's an abbreviated curriculum, but we could do that. I think the big consideration here is if you offer it during a semester, it still pulls away the opportunity for students to take that year-long elective class. So the students that feel like they don't have enough options open to take Project Lead the Way, a semester class doesn't solve that problem. And I do think that is something that wouldn't be available. I don't argue that we are, in the proposal, taking 2 semesters of a student's high school experience and telling them what they need to do for that. Option 3 is the full year, so I don't have that on here, but option 4 is an alternate schedule. We are contractually obligated to a specific schedule for our high school staff, and we have tried to go down the route of negotiating a different schedule with the teachers union, but we haven't been able to come to an agreement on something that we could bring back to the school board. So that's just a two-way street. Both the school district and the union have different priorities when negotiating anything on a contract, and so far we've been unable to find a win-win situation with those types of negotiations. So we don't have an alternate schedule on the table that we could consider. Let's see, so I know people have referenced some of the draft outcomes that I shared with parents, and just so people understand, part of the way that I've discussed this is that we could do it in alternate formats, probably like items 1 through 6, and this is really, like, these comments are kind of out of pocket, but this is generally what I've been telling people is probably it would be very, the time would work out well to do items probably 1 through 6 in a study hall, half period, 20-minute type of approach. I'm acknowledging and have always acknowledged that that's possible, and we could do things that we don't do now. If it was a semester-long course, we'd probably be able to add some significant support around planning and study habits and career interests. There are a lot of high schools that do a semester-long career exploratory course. I think those are great. I've worked in school districts that have that. And then if we're really looking at doing 9, 10, and 11 really well, I think the schools that we visited and the feedback I got from staff that came back was that it would need to be a full period, year-long graduation requirement connected class. But this curriculum can change. We can put curriculum together for 1 through 11, and depending on the format, you can choose to pick and prioritize different ones of those. That's a common process for curriculum. I think we had a physics course this last year or 2 years ago that changed from 1 period to a period and a half, and we're able, because the content expanded and we're able to modify curriculum, that's a common process for school districts to do. It is not common for us as part of our curriculum proposal process to have a fully developed curriculum for any of our courses. So of the 4 classes that are on the table, there are definitely other high schools that have that curriculum, but most of our internal personalization, making it Warren specific, most of that work will happen after board approval. When we're looking at that scope and sequence, the school board identified priorities here that I worked through with them. The scope and sequence is focusing on these specific learning standards. These aren't all, I don't think these are all just social emotional learning standards. So they're connected to that, but these standards include foster voice and leadership skills, providing structure for a community of play and fun, strengthen personal relationships, expand understanding of identity, and navigating post-high school options. So there's different types of things that we're hoping and standards that we're hoping students can master as part of the course. that I think are beneficial for all students. So I am going to throw this up here because I feel like, I just feel like there's a lot of comments on here. I'm not trying to like argue that the University of Illinois would recommend or require 2 to 4 courses. I feel like that's on the document. There's a 2-4 next to all of those. And I feel like I'm pretty clear. I feel like I'm pretty clearly putting them up here. And the purpose of the document.
Please let Dr. Weisman continue. Part of this is also just a nice review for us, and as well as for the people that are watching from afar. So I want to make sure everyone has the benefit of the information. Thank you.
And the purpose of the document was to help people understand how it impacts. And if you're looking at that and feeling like this doesn't meet your needs, then the document served its purpose, because you're able to clearly look at it and say, hey, there's not enough boxes for what I want to do. So I do think that I do want to review that the way that we would fit this into a full year period-long course is by taking, in this example, I'm using social studies, and some of the examples I use science, but we push back that world history, US history, and Gov Econ sequence back. It's not as simple as that. Sometimes we'll have Gov Econ happen in 11th grade, I think, but that's generally the premise, is that you push that back. I think part of the reason that I'm proposing that, or some of the reasons why I'm proposing that we do it that way, is if we want to be able to provide a full year period long 9th grade advisory for students. We don't have room right now if students want to keep their electives. We do have a lot of students that take study hall, but we have a lot of students that take electives. And so I have to propose something that the board could consider in order to do this. Let's see, there are still elective options in here that allow students, even if they don't take a course over the summer, to be able to take multiple electives, including 4 years of science and 4 years of social studies. But it does require families to make decisions. And so part of the purpose of the document was to help families and the board understand what decisions would have to be made. I think the document pretty clearly identifies what families would have to consider if they do that. Some of the things that I think I've been keeping in mind as I made the proposal is that of our 900 or so students that graduated last year, over 300 of them have more than 4 years of science and social studies. I think we heard some examples of that. Yep. So there is, yep. So there is room for students to get the 4 years of social studies and 4 years of science in the model. Also, I think something to recognize is when I've spent a lot of time looking at student schedules. So right now, I've been through, there could be more, but I've been through 85 senior schedules this semester who are in a music capstone course. So for me, a music capstone course wouldn't be like introduction to like an introductory piano class or an introductory guitar class, but someone who's in like a choir or band class as a senior. And of the 85 that I've looked at right now, over half of them are also in a study hall, a release period, or a student aid period. Over half of them seem to have room in their schedule to just not take any classes, and that's something that they're okay with. There's another 15 of them that are taking an elective. I understand that part of what people are trying to prioritize here is keeping the electives, but I'm also trying to address the concern about not having enough room to take 4 years of social studies and 4 years of science. I have not been able to find students that meet some of the scenarios that concerned parents bring me, which I just want to be really clear about. So some parents say, hey, my student won't be able to take 4 years of Project Lead the Way, 4 years of music, 4 years of science, and 4 years of social studies, along with 4 years of a foreign language. I don't think we have any seniors this year that are doing that. They're just not picking that. I could be wrong because I've only gone through 85 at this point. But that is a scenario that I'm not able to find this year in the seniors. And I'm not able to find a senior right now who's in Project Lead the Way and a music capstone course that took any Spanish during their high school career. If you know a student that's like that, please give me their name, because I'm just trying to go through and find the scenarios where this applies.
Hold on, he means not now.
Yeah, not.
Follow up by email, let him know, he'll let us know. I would appreciate that.
So that's probably the context in the background of why we're at where we're at today.
So then we're at the point of our board, we're at the point where our board, I think, can ask questions of Dr. Weisman, his administrative team, who we have sitting around the table with us on the topic, to be able to vote in an informed manner. So that's what this time is for. Opening it up to any board members.
Okay, so I'll start. I guess, obviously we've heard from a lot of people, very learned people, people who have experience, and as a lot of people here have experience as well. So I understand there's a lot of conflicts, and I too am concerned about people, losing opportunity. I think we all are. I think we could all agree to that. And I guess I want to know, is there ways to put more gaps in the schedule? Early bird classes. Are there any ways we can make more opportunities for people to have? I'm not asking you.
Yeah, just to be clear, this is a time for.
Just wait.
It's time for board discussion. So this is our opportunity to talk and ask questions of the administration.
What I want to know is where, what can we do? I'm sure there's got to be options. I don't know what they all are. I know what a few of them could be. But Chris, I think maybe
probably best directed.
There's some that should be there. That could be there. Whether we've done them before, for whatever reason, is obviously, I'm not going to bring that up at this point. I just want to know if you think there's ways to go about it. Multiple ways.
Yeah, there's multiple ways that we could go about creating more space in a day, but they're not things that we currently have done in the past or currently have in place. It would just require some different thinking. So one of the rules that we do have in place right now is that students are limited to the 3.5 credits per semester, or the 7 class per semester rule. So if we're looking at creating gaps, then we also have to look at that board policy in conjunction with whatever decisions we make. But things like an early bird class, things like looking at different ways to create space during the 8-period day is something that's possible. It's just not something that exists in our current construct.
Like we give PE waivers for some things.
Correct.
Correct.
So PE waivers is another thing that we can look at. So right now, like for example, band students are exempted from fall PE for all 4 years. But we
accommodations for band students.
Correct.
Good.
So then there's, but we have a varsity athletic exemption that we don't extend down to, for example, sophomore athletes. So those are other opportunities.
Even if they're on varsity, or just if they're on varsity, they get, or just they don't.
Varsity, like if they're varsity athlete, we have a varsity athletic exemption, so they're on varsity.
And as a sophomore?
Juniors and seniors only. Juniors and
Not
seniors.
sophomores?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
So that's another way, theoretically, that we could do that.
Correct.
Okay. And then.
Yeah, early bird, some high schools do offer early bird courses. I know there's some high schools that, if you're just looking for different ways to think about our current schedule as it exists, some high schools do allow parents to sign a waiver for lunch, so they could, my kids have done that. They've taken a course instead of lunch. I don't know if I would recommend that, but for students that want to squeeze more into their day, they could do that. We don't do that currently.
And there's opportunities, potential opportunities, maybe with CLC as we consider. I mean, we've done a lot with dual credit in the district, but there's also something that's dual enrollment, where students enrolled with us and at CLC and is receiving. Right. It's a little bit different than dual credit, where they take the class here. So there's potential opportunities there that we could see what is available through CLC to offer for students, maybe at different times. So that could look a little bit differently.
Understood. Okay. And then, is there a sophomore ramp to Project Lead the Way?
There is.
Okay.
So when the industrial technology department redid their course structure last year as part of their work with Career Pathways. One of the things that we talked about a lot, they talked about a lot, was trying to make sure more kids had access to engineering, because kids discover, probably one of the concepts behind Career Pathways is kids try on different hats in high school. And they wanted to make sure that if a kid tried on an engineering hat, they could access Project Lead the Way further down the road. So if they didn't jump in as a freshman, they could, in theory, finish the program. So what they did was they created an Engineering 1. It was a semester-long class. And then there's the second class in that sequence. There's two options. One is Engineering Robotics, and one is Engineering and Manufacturing. Then if they take those two classes while they're at O'Plain, could be freshman year, sophomore year, those two classes, then junior year they can enter in the Project Lead the Way sequence in digital electronics and finish the sequence.
Good enough, good enough. And then Tech Campus and PE, they're not automatically exempted, but they can get exempted?
They can. If a student is enrolling in coursework that is aligned to post-secondary careers, we can, in those scenarios, if there's no room in their schedule, we can waive the PE requirement for them to take Tech Campus. We're typically, right now, a lot of those students don't take a science class their junior year. Is what happens. But right now, any student that is in the Cosmo program at Tech Campus, because that's a four-period program at Tech Campus, we do have to waive PE for them so they can fit that program into their schedules. So that is an existing practice that we have right now for some students at Tech Campus.
Things that we could consider.
Correct.
Let's just say that. I think
Correct.
that's the best way to put that. There may be others. I'm not, I'm obviously not an expert, but okay. Well, that's good. I think that's a path we may want to explore before we make our final decision.
Yeah, we could definitely do some more exploration of that. I mean, generally, I think we understand some of the concepts, but we'd have to do some work and polish something to bring back to you on things like an early bird class or extended consistent PE waivers, I'm guessing, right?
Yes.
Could we talk a little bit more? I mean, overwhelmingly, the emails, texts, instant messages, phone calls that some of us have received in maybe the last week have suggested a half-period study hall lunch model. And it seems obvious, and I think thank you for all the work you put into your slide deck, because I think it was very helpful, and I really do encourage people to go back and listen to the board meetings where there were recommendations brought back. There are slides with recommendation on them that are written. Please read those. Please look through those, because I think it's very important for everyone to understand why we're here. And this isn't something that, because you learned about it in the last week, that this has not been a discussion. So I would appreciate it personally, because it helps provide context. But the overwhelming ask from a lot of the public that have contacted us is a half-period lunch. And it seems obvious to some of us, right? Like, that would just be easy. It's there. We could use it. Can you guys help flush out what the construct would be and what would be the concerns? Because I know we've talked about it, and I understand that who would be teaching it at that point? Because I don't believe, if I remember correctly, we don't have staff that would be available to teach it. Is that correct?
So contractually, there's a difference between a study hall supervision and a teaching assignment. So in the advisory model that we're discussing, that becomes a teaching assignment. So assigning a teacher to a half-period advisory means that we would then they would teach say, for example, a 4A advisory, then that same person would also have to teach a 4B advisory, because that is a teaching assignment. Contractually, if it's a supervision, then the teacher's just supervising students. They're not delivering curriculum. They're just making sure that kids are there, the attendance is taken, that the space is functioning as it should. Like when study tables or the resource rooms, teachers are helping students with their coursework, but they're not necessarily delivering curriculum.
Content.
So that's one difference between a study hall in its current existence and an advisory. So planning FTE for that,
Chris, what's an FTE?
Sorry,
just for everybody?
So planning like teacher schedules. How many teachers do we need to fill those positions?
The ratio would change?
It would possibly change. It would change probably a little bit from what we have right now, but we do have all of our freshmen are in study halls.
Right.
But those teachers that are teaching those study halls, they just have one, right? They have one half a period. So like the calculation of courses that they're teaching versus people then have to do supervisions becomes a little bit different.
So does that become an opt-in for teachers, or you're assigning?
That would be something that we would probably be assigning based on course enrollment and available sections.
Well, let's assume it's mandatory,
Correct.
because that was the recommendation.
So like enrollment across like other content areas. So, right, so say you've got 1,000, 2,000 students, right?
Yeah.
All 2,000 students are taking English. All 2,000 students are taking math. There might be 1,000 kids taking world language. There might be 500 kids taking music or art or whatever. So like there's not 2,000 kids in every single content area. So there's always like room for if kids then have to do this as a class, then teaching staff we'd have to assign teaching staff into that from areas where maybe enrollment was down, where we didn't have as many sections, and we would be potentially filling out teacher schedules with the advisory.
So right now, this proposal is cost neutral, correct?
FTE wise, it's cost neutral. I think there were valid points brought up around like training and curriculum development, and we have done visits.
I'm sorry, I
the
mean
last couple
going
years.
forward with the class.
Yeah,
itself.
just for like the number of adults that we need to teach courses is I would say cost neutral. Yeah.
Okay, but if we were to do it at half period lunch, that would change?
I think that would
I
change
think it would
because because you have to change something that is currently a supervisory role, and they can teach 5 other courses, to something that becomes a teaching period, and so they can only teach 4 other courses.
Essentially, it's taking the impact of the lunch study halls, because really we did the same thing with the lunch study hall, or not lunch study hall, sorry, the lunchtime supports, where we took one person and now they're teaching that too. But that did have a ripple effect in terms of the numbers of sections that we were able to offer in the other classes in the department. So I do think that model does probably result in an increase in staffing.
I have a question. So would we consider, as we're looking at this, would we consider at all having the fine arts and language students possibly opt in, to choose to opt in or to choose to opt out? Is that something that the district or the administration would find that, you could, take a look at and see if that's something that's feasible, just to have, another option?
Yeah, I think any type of, I think you as a school board definitely have the ability to say, hey, this is what we want students to experience. I think probably if we're looking at opt-in, opt-out options, then we'd have to come up with some type of criteria for all electives. And I don't know if I would say that should just be for like fine arts electives. It probably would need to be that families would be able to opt out for any, just like they want to take a different class. We could default students into it, and then families could opt out, probably for any reason at that point.
I think about like a lot of the presentations we've been given regarding graduation requirements. And it's so hard to marry in my head the discussions that we had during that. And actually, it was in the same board meeting. I can't remember which month it was. Was it November or March? March. We had both committees, I believe it was, report. And in talking about graduation requirements, it was a definite concern that there were kids not having we're not made to take enough classes their senior year. And I appreciate Dr. Danny the time it took to look at 80 schedules to see who was taking what. And I think your point was that even with a lot of the kids that were taking band 4 years and multiple classes through a 4-year segment, still had a study hall. And that tracks with what the graduation requirements crew presented, that there was time at the end of senior year or during senior year that you have availability, regardless if you're a high achiever or not. And so, you know, I hear a lot of people talking about packing their schedules in. I know my son will probably graduate undergrad in 3 years with all the credits he received for AP. Thank you, Warren Township. I can't, high school.
Thank you.
And Warren Township, but anyway. So, and I appreciate that, but he also took summer school to free up periods, regardless. And he stacked band and jazz band at the end, and I appreciate all that, but he also had study halls. So, and he took several years of Spanish. I don't know if it was 3, but according to the people that were telling us that we needed to increase the graduation requirements, part of that discussion was, if it's an advisory, so be it. Because there was enough time in everyone's schedule to be able to take this. And I encourage everyone to listen to the board meeting, because we were there, and I watched it again twice this week, to make sure I understood what everyone was saying. So I guess what I'm saying is, when we talk about putting it into lunch, not to even pass over the fact that all of our tier 2 interventions are appropriated to the half period lunch. So that would put a lot of kids at a disadvantage. That would eliminate their ability to go to get help when they sincerely need it. But I also don't want to dismiss the data that you presented about our kids that do not feel connected. Because even during the referendum, one of the things we said were electives help people connect. What is frightening to me is that 50 percentile looks like 1 out of 2, but if our band kids are also 1 out of 2 kids don't feel connected, 1 out of 2 we are not changing that narrative, whether they're taking band, choir, or Project Lead the Way, it doesn't seem. That's not okay. What I want to point out to people that maybe have missed it is we were in the lowest quartile for that. It's not just 1 out of 2. Nationally, we are in the lowest quartile for that metric. That's pretty unacceptable in my eyes. And so I guess, when we talk about the half period lunch, I'm open to hearing about it. But what I've understood is we will need to hire staff to do that. How do you hire staff to do middle lunch? I mean, that's your problem. I don't pretend to, look, I got my own problems in IDPH. So, but, eliminating kids from going to get help, not solving the problem of kids not feeling connected, kids not feeling like they can achieve, kids not feeling like there's an adult that they trust in the building. 1 out of 2 kids don't feel like that, whether they're taking band, whether they're high achieving. I think we need to broaden this discussion, because what I saw in the email, and I'll never forget the phrase, we're teaching to the lowest denominator. You know what? We are measured by that too. And so those are our kids, that is our community, and those are kids that matter as well. And so when we talk as a board, I appreciate the high achieving kids. My son is one of them. But we also are mandated to discuss the entire student body and to care for the entire student body. So I just don't want to lose perspective. I appreciate that there are high achieving kids that might have study skills that are exceptional, but they also might not feel like they belong. And putting them into these advisories as recommended by the teachers that went on visits, and yes, we paid for them to go do that, so we could bring ideas into this, I'm sorry, you know what, I just have to say,
Yeah, let's
yeah, I'm
finish
just
up.
saying, like,
It's okay.
when we're exploring ideas and they're bringing information back to us, we need to listen to the entire content. And so I just feel like they felt very strongly that it needed to be a credit-based, mandated program, and I don't know if I've had any information that would change that.
All right, here's what I'm gonna recommend before you begin. So this is a board discussion, so I'd like to keep it at the board table. So Steve, you're welcome to make your comments. You're welcome to ask the administrative team, Dr. Weisman, but let's try to keep the discussion here, get our questions answered. And then one thing I'm picking up on that seems to be pretty apparent is that we have a little more investigating to do. So I think we need to move on with the motion, and then I have there could be an alternative motion here as well. I do not, that's my roundabout way of saying this is a board discussion. Let's keep it at the board table.
I will be brief. I'm a KISS formula guy. I need more before I vote on this. I need it laid out, the advantages of this and the disadvantages, the pros of the program, what we expect to achieve over what kind of period of time, what are the goals, at what cost, for lack of a better term, and I was very careful about the word cost. I don't know. I mean, examples. As a four-year band member in high school, I have a great deal of sympathy. As an AP student in high school, I have a great deal of sympathy. College grad, I have a great deal of sympathy for the concerns. But I would like to take maybe some of these specific examples and say, okay, here's what your alternatives are. Here's what you can do and can't do because of this program. And then before I vote, I need to weigh the pros and cons of that. And I'd like to see examples. I'd like to see maybe 2 or 3 parents come in and say, this is my student and this is what they have, and use that as an example and put it in front of us and tell us what this does. And I need to weigh that against the potential benefits of a very apparent need we have here before I vote.
Thank you, Steve. We have a couple other board members that I just want to make sure they have the opportunity to comment if they have any more comments or questions. Natalia?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I asked what
You asked what you needed to. And Tasia, I didn't want to, Dr.
Question.
Fields, I didn't want to forget about you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. First, I did want to just thank everyone for obviously being there. I apologize that I can't be there, and I thank you for all the emails. I did read all of them. I agree with my board members, this fellow board members, this is a tough decision, and I'm very interested in alternative schedule options. I'm curious about, you mentioned that the union you all were not able to come up with some alternative schedules. And so I'm wondering if you could just speak a little bit more to why that wasn't a possibility, or if there's, some new information there. And can we really look into that? I'm also curious about an alternative schedule that incorporates WIN, if that's not already happening, and possibly some of these skills. I want us to be intentional about making sure we are holding true to some of the things that we said that we would do, and it seems like this is a good opportunity to think about that also.
Yeah, I don't know if I can speak definitively towards all of the interest that a teachers union brings to the table when we're negotiating an alternative schedule. I think there's a variety of interests there that the leaders of the teachers union, staff union, are trying to bring to the table, and they're trying to meet those on a regular basis. We just, as we've gone through different ways to try to approach win time, we've been able to come to consensus on a model that changes the day for the teachers in a way that the board and the administration is looking for, while at the same time meeting the needs and interests of what the teachers union has told us they would need to receive in terms of recognizing the extra time and energy that they put into those alternative schedules. So just with any type of negotiated topic, You're just trying to figure out, hey, where do our interests overlap? And we haven't been able to figure out with wind time a space for the interests where the interests overlap. I don't know how to describe that in a different way. We just haven't been able to come up with completely shared interests or find a solution to the big picture shared interest.
Thank you.
Susan, was there anything additional?
Yeah, the alternative schedule option that's been suggested is what if we used an assembly schedule? So if we're looking into other possibilities, that would be one that I'd be curious about. What are the pros and cons of that? Also, summer school. The cost of summer school is one concern that's come up several times. And so are there any options for covering the cost of summer school? And how could we use summer school to help address some of the concerns that are coming up, I guess? So we could, one of the things that we could look into is just an annual, what does summer school cost the district on average for teacher salaries, busing, transportation, like all the people and all the other people, the support staff that help make summer school go. That does come with a cost. I know for several years we were able to run summer school at no cost to our families, but that was as a result of the COVID grants and the federal funding, and that's why when that ended, we had to we went back to charging. But we did significantly reduce the tuition last year to try and make sure that we were breaking even on it, to make sure that we were just covering the costs of the programming. We can work on putting together the cost of that and come back to the board to make a financial decision.
And Dr. Giocaris, there is a fee waiver process for summer school. Am I correct?
I believe there is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Separate from the regular school year fee waiver?
I can find out about that.
Can you clarify?
Yeah, so
what you
as
mean by
part of the
that?
summer school packet, if a family is applying for summer school, there is a way for them to apply for a fee waiver.
Right, so
through
if
that
they're already
process.
during the school year, it would make sense that if they're already a waiver family during the school year, that they would be a waiver family for the summer. Like,
Yeah.
why put them through another application?
Yeah, I'll have to look into that and see if it's a second process or if it's just there for families that are newly considering applying for that type of waiver. That makes sense.
And related to that, do we accept credit for any programming in the summer apart from our own summer school program? Like if I wanted to take AP something that I could get somewhere else. We don't accept credit if a student wants to take a class that we offer, but take it somewhere else. We generally have not accepted credit for that. But if a student wants to go take a summer school class at another area high school, we don't offer that class, then we have accepted that for credit. Okay.
We have or we do?
We have in the past, yes.
And we will continue?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think that's a good
Making sure.
example of like another area where maybe there's some opportunities for us to think about some of the things.
If I could comment on the assembly schedule just briefly. The assembly schedule is an example of an alternate schedule. It's I think foundationally is what we used when we did our wind time pilots. And so from a staff member's perspective, they're going through their day on an assembly schedule and they're still teaching their 5 courses. They go to an assembly and they don't have an instructional assignment. They're supervising just the students and wherever the pep rally is.
So it'd be the same as lunch.
It'd be
half
the
period.
kind of the same idea, yeah. So, but generally we just ask all teachers to be present for a pep rally and a supervisory model. Where some of the inability to come to a shared agreement to bring you for an alternative schedule has come is in an instance of either wind time, I assume advisory would
What
be
about Link Crew? Link Crew.
Link Crew might be different because in Link Crew you can have students delivering content, but if we have teachers delivering content, it's going to be a different type of ask than a supervision. So while we do have structurally a schedule for a pep rally, asking teachers to do different things and deliver curriculum during that time is just what our contract currently doesn't allow us to do. We'd have to change things. There are models where juniors and seniors are delivering the content to the underclassmen. I think we visited Stevenson recently as part of this, and they have that type of model.
100% of the content?
It's not 100%. I think a counselor pushes in 1 day a week, and they don't meet 1 day a week. So 3 days out of the week, juniors and seniors are delivering the content during a half-period lunch. There are things I don't know if that's a feasible model since our juniors and seniors aren't on the same campus as the freshmen, but those models do exist as well.
What I'm going to recommend at this time, because we have, first off, discussion, great, questions, wonderful. Getting them out in the open, transparency is important. But I'm also looking at 9:15 and looking at the agenda, and there's this other part of me that says, you know, it's getting late. So I think there's enough appetite, also what I'm hearing, to where we could, like, there's a motion on the table to approve it. To be clear, if we vote no, we can propose a alternative motion to table, like, approve all the other items, table the pieces that we're talking about today, charging Dr. Weisman and team to go back and explore all these questions, scenarios, schedules, and then we have a committee of the whole early November before we have a formal board meeting. We could continue this discussion. I'm just not convinced we're gonna have, like, there needs to be some time to get some answers here.
With respect, Mr. President,
Yeah.
what you'd want to do is make a motion to amend, removing.
That's what he's saying.
No.
He said
Hear
to
me
vote
out,
no.
Hear me out.
Yeah, I said the vote.
So
Oh, I
you
thought
don't
you
have to
said to
vote.
pull off.
Beth, hear me out, please. What you make a motion to amend, you vote on the motion.
Okay.
If the motion is amended, then you can vote yes on the motion, on the main motion. You do it in that order. You make a motion to amend first, make a motion to amend, I'll make the motion to amend to remove 9th grade seminar advisory curriculum committee, BOE memo number 1 PDF. Okay, we'll leave that out. I'll make the motion to take that out, and then you have discussion on the amendment, then you vote on the amendment, and once the amendment takes that out, then you can vote yes on the main motion.
I think what Mr. Carlson's recommending is a motion.
You're saying the same thing, just opposite of, I think, of what I'm saying.
That way you don't have to vote no on the motion to amend. You don't have to vote
Okay,
no. Parliamentary, you make
Yeah.
a motion to amend first, you vote on the
Yep.
motion, and then you vote on the main motion.
I think if I'm looking at what we've got on the table, I think what Mr. Carlson is recommending that someone move to amend the current motion to not include changes to graduation requirements on pages 11 through 12 and references to the freshman advisory and post-secondary planning on pages 21 and 97.
And I'll make that motion.
And then you as a board would do a roll call.
We discussed, then we need a second, then we discuss the amendment, then once it's successfully amended, then you can vote yes on the main motion.
So we'll take what Dr. Weisman said. You did the so moved.
So moved.
I will second it, and now we can do a roll call vote. Just to be clear, yes means we're approving everything but the pieces that we were discussing today, which we're agreeing to table until we have more information. Roll call vote, please.
Squires,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Carlson, Anderson,
Yes.
Pope,
Yes.
Fields, and Demonte.
Yes.
Just to be
Motion
clear,
carries.
we've tabled the freshman advisory. Everybody got that?
Only because we barely got it.
All that.
All right. So, and just to be clear, whether we like something or don't like something, we try to keep it as fair and equal as possible. And part of that is my previous training. For those of you that know me, I was a kindergarten teacher at Woodland for several years, and I try to be as fair as possible. So, you know, whether we like something or don't like something, we do all need to treat it the same way. And I do appreciate the decorum and the civility that we most recently saw here toward the end. That being said, this is why we moved action ahead of discussion, so that way if there were people that were only here for that item, they can stay, leave, whatever you want. There's still going to be another public comment section. We'll read your name. If you're not here, you don't have to speak. You're welcome to come back and speak at another meeting. All right, so moving on, we have approval, so action item B. And thank you, Mr. Carlson, for your years of experience and wisdom on parliamentary procedure. We do appreciate it. So action item B, approval of student services staffing looping model. We need somebody to make a motion, second it, and then we can discuss.
Let me get there. I move to approve the student services looping staffing model as proposed by the superintendent.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Do we have any discussion?
I think we're ready.
No.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that we've been given quite a bit of information on this one. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Martinez,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Pope,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fields,
Yes.
Demonte.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, action item C, I think we're skipping because of the fact that we approved action item B, which then moves us to action item D, which is consideration of the 2023 tax rate objection settlement agreement. I'll just make this motion for ease. I move to approve the 2023 tax rate objection settlement agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Pope,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Fields,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Demonte.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And now move on to action item E, which is approval of expulsion for student 2026-9. Would someone like to make the motion? I can do it as well.
I move to approve the expulsion for student 2026-9 for a period of 2 years.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Anderson,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Demonte,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Fields,
Pass.
Pope,
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. The other item on there, we're speaking, there's no motion attached to it, so we're talking to that family individually. So now that we did the action items, I'm now going back to discussion items, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you. And excuse me? No. No. And sorry to be so snappy there.
No, it's okay.
Because you were innocently asking, but I do, in fairness, we've had other people speak up and we're in the middle of a meeting, so thank you for your understanding on that. So moving back to discussion items here, discussion item A is the presentation of the FY 25 financial audit and, in parentheses, an annual report. I believe Chris Green has some comments to start off our discussion.
So we will have Mr. Sebastian Dabrowski from our auditor, Baker Tilly, go over briefly our 2024-25 audit.
Yes, I will try to be brief. Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
So my name is Sebastian Dabrowski. I'm a senior audit supervisor with Baker Tilly. Nick Cavalieri, the engagement principal, wasn't able to be here tonight, but I'll be going over the results of the audit for fiscal year June 30, 2025. I'm just going to kind of go over the deliverable reports that we issued, just kind of give a brief overview of what they are and what the results were. I'm not going to get deep into the numbers, but before I get into the reports, I do first want to thank Chris Green and team that we work with, Roxanne Hopkins, everybody in the business office for doing a tremendous job in getting everything ready for us for the audit. It is a big lift to get everything prepared, but also to deal with all our questions and all of our requests for supporting documentation on top of their day-to-day job responsibilities. So it's greatly appreciated to be able to get the report issued on time. So the other reports that we issue are based on the district's information, but the first one I'm going to go over is the reporting and insights letter from the 2025 audit. So the other reports are based on, like I said, the district's information. We opine on it. This is a letter directly from us as the auditors to you, the governing body. It outlines the planned scope of the audit, what our responsibilities are for the audit, what management's responsibilities are for the audit. And then if there were any significant findings, those would be outlined in here. So during interim field work, we come out, we do internal control walkthroughs over your key transaction cycles, your accounts payable, your payroll, your financial reporting, just to see if there's any operational risks that we might want to apply additional procedures to. And if we had any recommendations, we would outline those in here as well. But we don't have any recommendations. The internal controls at the district are operating as designed and effectively right now. And then also in this letter, there's some resources to our website for some trainings, video seminars, things like that. Some guidance on upcoming accounting standards that are coming down the pipeline in the next couple of fiscal years, but nothing too significant for the district right now.
And you said that we can sign up for some training on just information?
Yeah, there's just, not all of it's pertinent to school districts, but there are some stuff in there that kind of goes over some kind of federal standards that are coming down the pipeline, like I said, and yeah, that's all outlined in here. Also contact information for Nick if you guys have any questions for anything that I'm not able to touch on in the report. And you know, although we work with the business office on the day-to-day, we are ultimately engaged by you to do the audit. So if you have any questions, not just tonight, but anytime in the future, we're happy to hear from you and happy to answer the questions you have. So I'll get into the financial statements, the big fun report that everyone loves to read. The beginning of the report is our audit opinion. So it's a 3-page opinion. It's an unqualified or unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we can provide over the district's financials. And that basically just means anybody can pick up the information, rely on the information within. And then there's also a summarization at the beginning of the financial statements with the management's discussion and analysis. I highly encourage reading through that. It's kind of like the Cliff Notes version. It's going to give you a brief overview of the financial highlights of the year in the narrative format with comparison to the prior year. And then you've got your basic statements in the front. Then you've got detailed notes to the financial statements that are going to give you some more specifics on what went on during the year. And then towards the back, you've got some other information schedules that give you long-term trend data over 10 years for your net pension liabilities, your other post-employment benefit liabilities, things like that. And then at the very back, you've got your budget to actual revenue and expenditure schedule. So it's more high level at the front, and then it gets more detailed as you progress to the back. And then outside of the financial statements, another report that we prepare and submit on behalf of the district is the annual financial report. So this basically just takes the same information from the basic financial statements, along with some statutory compliance information that we have to look at, puts it all into a standardized form that gets submitted into the Illinois State Board of Education's repository. And on page 4 of that report is the district's financial profile score. The district received recognition status, which is the highest status that ISB can award for school districts. And then outside of the financial statement audit, another audit that we do is over the federal expenditures of the district, the federal spend. It's called a uniform guidance audit or a single audit. We're not currently able to issue that audit just because of administrative backlog with the federal government right now, but what they have done is they've issued what's known as a compliance supplement that we use to audit grant programs. We did the IDEA Special Education Cluster this past fiscal year. Based on our testing so far, there are no anticipated findings. We're anticipating issuing a clean opinion, but it's just an administrative thing right now with the Fed that they haven't finalized that compliance supplement. And so as the auditors, we're not able to issue that report. And then 2 small reports that we also opine on is the comprehensive year-end financial report. So this gets submitted to the Illinois Grant Accountability and Transparency Unit. Same type of information as kind of what gets reported to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. It's just something that's used for other state governments that they're looking to consolidate all that information within. And then the last report is we just opine on a clean statement for your payroll records that get submitted to the Collective Liability Insurance Cooperative. So in summary, just clean audit opinion all around. Those were my prepared comments, but happy to answer any questions you may have.
You have any questions? Natalia, I think you're the first person to take him up on the online training of financial audits. Only you. I just.
Let us know how that goes.
Yeah,
yes, please do. If you take them up, please
Need
give us
CEUs, I'm
It's
sure.
an executive summary, but I have every reason to believe she would actually find it interesting
Yeah,
too.
but I do work for a business.
Yeah, I know. That's why I say that.
You, that's what I'm saying.
So anyway, she's your first
I
one.
partner
to
with
go from
Chris.
that. Thank you. If no questions, we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good job,
Thanks.
as always.
All right. The next item we have for discussion is the O'Plain Pool HVAC system. So this is something that there's no action, but if you saw the dollar amount attached to it, it warrants a discussion. So, and I don't think there's anyone on unless Chris Green has comments, I think it's more for us if you saw the dollar amount to the tune of $820,000 to replace that. And we know the condition of our pool, and we've had some discussions about our pool. So opening this up, if anyone had any questions or comments.
So the air quality is below average?
Yes, yes.
Below safe, it sounded.
I don't know if I would say it's not safe.
I don't mean,
It's-
I don't mean that, I'm sorry. It's a concern for safety.
There are I forgot what
Yeah,
the engineer.
I saw.
Yeah,
There's a lot of chlorine in the air, yeah.
Yes.
We got it.
yes.
Can anything we
Got
do
humidity.
be incorporated into whatever we do with the pool in the future, or we're not throwing good money against bad here?
Yeah, I think that's what the concern is, and
Yeah.
I need to loop back around. I did meet with, I call them my water parents and community members in late spring, so I need to loop back around with them in the fall. I mean, the part it seems like has been broken for some time. We're just now realizing it, so we don't have to fix it tomorrow. But it's an example of how the pool conversation isn't just do we have to replace the pool. It's also a little bit of how much does it nickel and dime us before that.
I guess my concern would be we're not gonna fix something that somebody's gonna tell us we have to rip out later.
That is, yeah, I think that's
the question on the
Definitely
table.
could be.
So maybe we need to fast now having this information. I think previous information, we had time, right? Like it could at any moment go bad, but it wasn't at the moment. This new information, I think, accelerates the conversation where we may need to make some decisions, either we commit and we make a plan and budget and replace, or we don't. So I don't know what makes, like, was there so here's a question. Based on 2010's assessment of that, when we should immediately have this, is the health and safety portion of that to our students, is this a conversation we should have immediately? Like next committee of the whole? Do we have some months? Maybe nobody's using the pool during the winter? I don't know.
They're using
Yeah,
it.
they use it the
all
most
time.
during the pool.
All
I don't
the
even-
time.
They use it most during the
Blue
winter.
Devil Swim Club uses it,
All right.
our swim team uses it, the classes use it. It's
Did
in
we
use.
not say that we were going to reassess the longevity piece of the existing structure?
Yeah, we did have people look at the existing structure, and we don't have there aren't any current, like, at that point, there weren't any current things that were broken. There weren't cracks, for example. We weren't losing water. So it was more of a matter of we are beyond life cycle at this point, and so things would start breaking,
I guess let me
for
be-
example.
Let me be,
Liner, the filter, the whatever.
Yeah.
But they didn't look at like the other components around it, like this
They did look at the roof.
They did look at the structure was sound. They looked at the pool, they didn't find any problems with the pool. They did not look at the HVAC system.
let me be very clear. I would suggest that any plans made for replacement of the HVAC system, maybe some kind of consultants or consideration or understanding that we're sooner or later gonna do something with that pool. And we don't wanna put something in that we're gonna have to modify extensively, put it that way.
So the question would be, is this equipment required for any pool?
Yeah,
If it is, then we could do it theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we did do something different for a pool, we could still use it,
right,
right? It's
Yeah,
not,
that's
it's not gonna
real
be money
specific.
that you're gonna pitch
right.
if you close the pool.
Yeah, I think our assumption, Chris, is that you need an air handler to pull the chlorine out of the air no matter what
Right,
pool
it
you have.
reduces the humidity and heats the air and removes the chlorine.
It wouldn't be something that you would do now and 5 years from now you'd have to throw away if because you might.
Correct, yeah. If you're always gonna have a pool, you still need this HVAC system.
You still get back to the main question. Need a pool.
I mean, are we gonna have a pool in the future?
Are we gonna have a
I
pool?
think that's a great discussion item for committee of the whole.
Okay.
It's 9:35. Pool probably is, that's where I was getting at, is how quick do we need to have this discussion and make it. We have a meeting coming up that is ideal for these in-depth discussions, and hopefully we'll give Dr. Weisman and team.
Let's be sure and get that out to the pool people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll
For
I'll
sure.
make sure they know.
Okay.
I'm sure somebody here will let them know.
Yeah. So, moving on, because we're gonna keep the discussion at the board table. The next discussion item was, initial reading for policy 6:300, graduation requirements. I don't have any notes here.
Yeah, this is really connected to the advisory and graduation requirements proposal.
Right.
It's an initial reading. You're required to have 2 readings for any policy change. Since we
Okay.
tabled that, I think we could just keep moving on.
Yeah, let's loop it or bundle it with that other one. And then discussion item D, which is immigration enforcement and its impact on families. I think there was a request, Dr. Weisman, just for a very quick update.
Yeah, we are really trying to make sure that our families continue to feel welcome. Just questions that I get regularly from community members to address here. We have not had any interactions on our campuses or on our school buses with immigration officials. We do have procedures for that, but haven't had any interaction with them, and our attendance is generally the same. But if you have specific questions, I'm happy to talk through those.
What if
in
they
the
stop a
coming
school
weeks.
bus? What's the procedure?
We do have procedures for that. Generally, agents are required to have some type of warrant, and they contact my office if they have a warrant so that we can review the warrant.
Typically, a school bus is an extension of the building, so you would treat it the same way.
And I think that the protocol also says that if a student is feeling unsafe, they can be brought back to school, correct?
We don't have that specifically written in our protocol, but anytime a student feels like they don't want to get off at the bus stop, they have that option.
So what happens if there is a student who feels unsafe and they come back? Then what happens here?
So our front desks are open all night because there's so many activities going on, and so they would be able to just be here in the school, either at this campus or at the other campus. There are security that staff those desks throughout the late afternoon and early evening. So anybody, there's kids hanging out here all the time that are waiting for family members or friends to come pick them up. They would just join those groups.
Thank you for that information. I appreciate it. All right, now I said we would go back to public comment and continue. Ms. Pope, how many people do we still have on the list?
852.
Well, that's 8? 8. All right. So we have 8 people. Can I ask the
Some that left.
board, do we need a 5-minute break, or do we want to keep going? Okay, so who's next on the list?
Cindy Curtis?
All right, please come up. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. State your name, community, relation to the district.
I don't need to totally do this letter. All right, so my name is Cindy Curtis. I'm a Gurney resident for 18 years. I have a 5th and 8th grader back here. I'm also a 20-year teacher of Project Lead the Way at Evanston Township High School. So I have a whole thing that I would share, but we're tabled right now. But what I do want to offer is I just came off today a program at my school called Wild Kid Futures, where we did a lot of the stuff that you're talking about in a one-day experience for our students. We also do a summer program called Prep ETHS, which is a optional summer program for freshmen to do a lot of the stuff that you're just talking about. And so I just wanted to share those 2 things. The other thing I wanted to share, sorry, I don't like talking in a mic. But what I did want to share is I did some research on the 3 schools that were being viewed. One thing that concerned me was the schools were choice schools or selective schools. They were schools that were 500 students versus what we have here at Warren. I went to a small school. I know the difference between those 2 school types. So I want you to take that into consideration when thinking about this stuff. I also want to share, sorry, I'm very
We're all good. It's
I know,
9:30 at
my
night.
voice
Just
does
take a
this
deep
when I
breath.
get
No
passionate.
one likes speaking in front of people, trust me.
I do want to share that electives have an important voice, and from my understanding, the committee did not have that representation. And so that's probably why we see a lot of folks that were here today, because that voice wasn't heard. And so I'm happy to be a voice of a parent, of an elective teacher, somebody who's been around and doing this stuff for years. I can use my kids as an example. I'm happy to be whatever kind of support. And I know I have a lot of colleagues that would like to do that as well. So that's what I'm just offering. I really hope you consider an alternative option. So that's
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who's the next person?
Anne Marie Mayer.
Is that person here? No. Who's the next person?
Beatrice Bedola.
I don't see her.
James Kutsinis.
Is James here? No. Okay, keep going.
Aaron Fleming.
Okay.
Band, Aaron.
Linda Perucci.
Not here. And one more.
Trisha Krem. All right then.
All right.
One more.
One more.
Redunda Peterson. Oh, sorry.
Okay, please come to the podium. And you'll have 3 minutes once you get up there. Okay.
Hello, I thank you very much for being here. My name is Roshenda Peterson, and I have a class of 2029, a class of 2032, and two in the class of 2036. So I appreciate the time the board, staff, community members, and parents are all putting in here late in the night. We're still here. To save time, can you please raise your hand if you know any of the pedagogical and vocational values of infusing joy? Anybody know about putting joy into the classroom? Oh, none of you do? Oh, one of you does. So for those of you that don't, I'm going to enthusiastically send a list of the 10 best texts, the 2 best vacation destinations, like big cities, not like here, that cover the topic of joy, because I don't care if we aren't big cities, we need to be like them. I don't know when the band data was taken or if it was specific to that course or throughout the day, but the data I've taken tonight at the meeting, you all have not looked joyful more than 50% of the time, even when you were discussing this plan. So here's the plan. I'll start reading Goldie Muhammad 5 days a week with you to teach you all the strategies, read in the books. Then we'll plan a vacation, sit on our own, fill out as many online questionnaires out of context to find out next steps and classes you might be able to fit in 3 years from now. Or tickets you'll see on your free time, or just wait, we don't offer that in summer school because no one wants to teach it. Wait, we'll call it an advisory of sorts. If I put us in a 15-person groups here, it would only take 0.2 FTE. That's only about 10K, which if we were basing out a cheap salary of 50K teacher, that's a lot cheaper than the full 13.0 FTE for 1,000 students needing it at Warren, which at 50,000 salary, which is pretty low, that would be a number almost as high as that number we were poo-pooing earlier with the HVAC, $650,000 for 1 year. But remember, you need to attend, friends. You need to pretend to participate in this joyful activity and click on that next questionnaire. Joyful, or I will not give you your CEUs, and you'll have to repeat this happy class, pass, fail, next year. Because you might not pass, and it's a credit, and you have to earn it. So maybe sophomore year you'll pass it. Or what happens if junior or senior year? Do we have to pay $650,000 for them too? Why does it sound odd? Why does it sound funny? Why does it sound like I'm being offensive? Because we all know where joy comes in the classroom. It's in that moment that I try something hard with people and I actually succeed. It's in that moment where I don't go in knowing I'm going to get graded on something. It's as a class in a group. That's why you find so much joy in these kids walking down the hall who were giggling and laughing earlier. That's why you have all these band students who wanted to talk here with us about the joy they have. Because you know what? For those minutes in band, or if you go to the marching band and you see them yelling and screaming, my son who doesn't even like noise and was walking out in the hallway because he didn't like it in here, he puts up with it in marching band because of that joy.
All right, we're at the 3-minute mark.
please vote
Thank
for
you.
the Joy for All.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, as we bring our meeting to a close, and first, before I read my normal ending statement, once again, I just want to say we do respect everyone's input and feedback, and do thank participation in this type of government exercise. So, we do thank people for being here and sharing their thoughts. So now, as we bring our meeting to a close, a reminder that even at a governance level, we too are respectful, resilient, engaged, now and always. Go Blue Devils. Woo! We need a motion and second to adjourn the meeting.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. The time is 9:45 p.m. Have a good night, everyone.